Welcome to the Enlightened Misfits podcast, a space for spiritual entrepreneurs who refuse to settle for anything less than their purpose. I am your host, Lauren Perlingi. After surviving a near-death experience and being declared gone for 3 minutes, I woke up with a mission to help women turn self-sabotage into self-compassion and fear into fuel. Here, we're going to dive into raw conversations, practical tools, and inspiring stories designed to help you break free from old patterns, claim your voice, and build a business that lights up your soul. If you've ever felt like you don't fit the mold, you're in the right place. This is where misfits rise into their power. Welcome back to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. I am your host, Lauren Perlingi, and today's episode is a very beautiful one, I have to say. And we are talking about, and mainly because we are talking about all the things that I truly love to talk about, is shamanism, mediumship, and spirituality as a whole. So I'm joined by Gabby, and Gabby is Peruvian. She's also a shamanic practitioner, a Reiki master, a psychic medium, a spiritual teacher, mentor, and angelic light worker. So she helps support women, I should just say people, because men too, right, Gabby? Through deep
Colombian,
spiritual
not
work
Peruvian.
and deep healing work, intuitive guidance, and spiritual growth through both one-on-one sessions and group experiences. Gabby, I'm so happy to have you here with us.
Thank you for having me, Lauren.
Of course. Can you share your story and like what led you to the work that you do today?
Yeah, so I think it's about 6 years now when COVID broke out and everyone was stuck at home. I was living by myself at the time, so it was very isolating to be by myself. And I also worked in healthcare, so I didn't want to put other people at risk, right? Because I was working COVID test sites, I was working as an EMT in the ambulance. So I guess in some way it kind of led to almost like a little bit of like a depression and anxiety. Like everyone's mental health was at a low at that point with everything going on. And two of my friends and I just had a very spontaneous idea to go out to Arizona during the pandemic. We're like, well, we can't be stuck inside. At least we're outside in nature, right? And keep your distance. And we flew down to Arizona and we spent a couple of days in Sedona, Arizona. And I think at the time my knowledge on spirituality was very minimal. I knew about like synchronicities to a point, like of 1, 2, 3, 4, 11, 11, etc. And then when we went to do a pink Jeep tour in Sedona, their guide had mentioned about how Sedona was this big vortex of spiritual energy, and I had no idea. And so she said it was life-changing for her. And when she went into the vortex and came out, it was time for her to fly home. I think she was actually from either Delaware or Detroit. And she missed her flight on purpose 3 times and stayed in Sedona. And now she is out there full time and works as a guide doing pink Jeep tours. And I remember sitting there saying, wow, like I love that for her. I'm glad that changed her life. That it was kind of one of those, it's not going to change mine. We went to Cathedral Rock and my whole life was changed when I came home. I had experiences with spirit as a child. I would see spirits waving to me in the night. When you turn off the light at night and everyone sees black, I would never see pitch black. I'd always see auras in different colors at night. But because other kids weren't having this experience, you feel like the oddball. So I can't really trace it back of when I closed it all down, but when I went to Sedona 6 years ago, everything came back to the surface that was laying dormant. And I always felt like Sedona had changed my life, but I never really came out and said it. And then I went to lunch with a couple of mediums, other mediums, and one medium had told me she didn't even know I went to Sedona, and she had said to me, "Do you know that your guides like changed the entire trajectory of your life with Arizona?" And I was like, "Run that back, what?" And she said, "When you went to Sedona, you were on the path to go this way, but being in that energy, your spirit team literally launched you that way." And it was just so comforting to know that that one decision quite literally changed my entire life. And I was in healthcare for about 8 years. I remember when I was no, I think I had just finished nursing school. And I already knew it was a bad sign because I don't do what I do out there. I called out of work because I mentally and energetically was like, this, I can't explain why this isn't a fit for me, but it's just not. So I called out of my shift. And so this was probably 2 years after I went to Sedona. And when I came home, I'm sorry, I'm kind of like jumping all over the place. I'm like, back up, Gabby. But but what I forgot to mention is when I came home from Sedona, I started seeing spirit again. I started having these interactions again, but not so much that I was going to take off and run with it and make like a career out of it like I am now. So fast forward to that nursing job where I called out, I remember hearing spirit for the first time and it freaked me out. And I was like, you're either an overtired, burnt out nurse or this is spirit. We got a 50-50 chance here. So I remember reading something by Gabrielle Bernstein, and she had said, have fun with your spirit guides, ask them their name, ask them for signs, things of that nature. So instead of panicking, which I wanted to do, I had fun with it and I just asked my spirit guide for a sign of 1111, whether I saw that on the clock, a total or a license plate, however it was supposed to come to me. So after I called out of work, I went about my day and didn't see 1111 anywhere. I missed it on the time. There was no license plates, etc. And when I came home, I was tentatively planning a backpack trip through Europe, still on my bucket list. But it came down to 4 countries and I only could pick two. So I was like, well, it's going to come down to price, which one's cheaper travel. And my bus ticket from Berlin to, I think it was Paris to Berlin would have been exactly $11.11.
Wow.
So since then, I've been on this adventure and I started my business July 1st of 2024. And at that point, I thought Reiki was just going to be the beginning of the end of it. And now fast forward, not even 2 years later, I am very blessed to offer mediumship, shamanic healings. I teach and run about 6 or 7 different classes or events now, podcast, psychic fairs. So I'm very grateful to everything that Spirit has brought me. But if you had asked me 2 years ago, or almost 3 years ago at this, yeah, March 2nd will be 3 years. So almost 3 years ago, I felt like Moana and was like, please, you got the wrong girl. Like, you got to take these back. I don't want them. Like, please. And now I I don't know. Just everything now just has come to a bigger picture and makes sense of what I'm supposed to do here. So I'm very grateful.
And I love that too. Expert, like just like a side note to at what year were you in Sedona? Because I have a very, and it's so interesting hearing, I know we've talked before this, but hearing your story with Sedona and going to Arizona, I had a very similar experience that tried to, well, I didn't try. I actually moved across country,
Wow.
2021, but I visited Arizona before that because my friend lives in Arizona. So I was going through a like really nasty toxic custody and just filed for divorce. 2020, 2019, yeah, 2020. So I'm interested. Is that around the same time? Did you say 2020 that you went to?
Yeah, it was when the
Okay.
pandemic was it was like the first wave of the pandemic. I went
Oh,
in
okay.
May, so I'm pretty sure that was May of 2020. Actually, no, I'm
Yeah.
gonna back check that.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Okay. I
Yeah,
know
I
when
think
I
it was
went,
around that time because I feel like there was just such a huge. Oh, so I apologize. So it was May of 2021. That's when I went to Sedona.
okay. That's literally, I want to say tried I did move for a month to got a job as a high risk OB ultrasound tech out there, moved literally, sold my stuff in Delaware, moved there
Wow.
to very quickly in a month, Spirit's like, you're not running away from yourself anymore. Come back to Delaware. My daughter was out there with me and all that, but I had to still go to custody court and it was okayed for me to go until quickly it was revoked for me. And I was like, I knew at that moment, I knew that I was like, this is not, I knew subconsciously, like deep down, that I was not going to stay in Arizona for long. But it's that moment that you said, like, you went to the Pink Jeep tour. I did the same thing with my friend. And it was like, I have to be out here, but it just wasn't, like it wasn't that time. Like
Right, right.
I had other things I needed to do
I know,
or
looking
just
back
living
at it,
my
I
life.
don't know if it was like I remember my brother because like there was other things going on in my personal life, and
Yeah.
my brother being like, I don't know if this is like a good idea for you to be going
Yeah.
out to Arizona right now. Well, we
Yeah.
made it, so like fast forward,
Yes.
it was I
Yeah.
guess it worked out. So
Yeah. And I love that synchronicity that we had that because I knew but when I came back, it was like that moment of like, am I going back to my 9 to 5? It was more like an 8 to 8 job. But, like, am I going back to my healthcare job or am I going to go this way? And it was like, well, I don't really know. People, I think still to this day, now that they know that I do, like, and I never went back to my job, they probably still think I'm crazy.
absolutely, absolutely. People are like, what does
Yeah.
this girl even do now? And I'm like, just let it be, guys. Like,
Yeah.
imagine hating on us, and we're just trying to like help people out here for the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
It's like
trying
an
to make people.
entrepreneur. You're like, yeah, what's an entrepreneur? I'm like, well, what area of my life did you want to know what I do? Like, is it my podcast? Do you want to work with me? Like, what do you want to do? And I feel like that brings me to like my next question that I was thinking of when you were talking about your like this moment that you had. What was like that moment that became real? Like, what was that specific moment or experience that you had that realizing your gifts were not just like your intuition, it was something deeper like mediumship or like shamanic insight?
Honestly, and I had chills when you were asking that, but like the moment where like everything clicked that I knew was actually really yesterday. I was sitting with one of my because everyone thinks like money defines like how successful you are.
Yeah.
Like you have to have all this money to be successful. And
Yeah.
I was sitting down with one of my shaman mentors yesterday, and I was signed up for two different events and I had to pick one or the other. So I went to my other, I work with three different mentors. So I went to my other mentor,
Sure.
Jess, and I had to tell her, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna be able to do what we call psychic parlor nights this night. I'm signed up for this other fair, the one I'm doing down in New Jersey that I was telling you.
Yay.
And she was like, oh my gosh, no problem. And when I went back to my other mentor's room, Julianne, I was like, my ego and my human was like, who, what? Like, it was kind of just like everything I once prayed for, but in a different way. Like, I always prayed like I was going to find something that I was going to thrive in, that was going to be a passion and something that I could share with the world that I had no idea it was going to be to this capacity. And so when I sat there, I was like, who are you to be like, oh, sorry. Not like, and I don't mean this like in a cocky way to anyone watching this, but again, my ego was like, oh, sorry. Like, who am I? Like, I'm overbooked that weekend where last year I couldn't even get, one client or one student. So in that moment, I always try to bring it back to remembering my roots of how I started with only just Reiki, with only just one client. You only started doing this. So that also is something that keeps me humble and grounded. But at the same time, I'm like, where and when you had mentioned entrepreneur and all the different things that come with it, I'm starting to learn that. So when we had that conversation of how you're used to the Pisces energy of go, 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 this has like the last few weeks, and I think it's because of the final shedding before the fire horse. It's
Yeah.
so many different avenues have opened up lately that I'm like, that's why I told you, I'm like, I have so much like what's the word I want? Respect for like entrepreneurs because I don't know how you guys keep your head straight. I'm
Well, you're
like,
one of us.
yeah, I have two different calendars right here and my phone calendar because I just can't keep it all straight. Like it has to be in one of the three, if not all three, because I'm like, hold on, let me check my three different calendars. And I don't even say that as of like out of cockiness. I say that because I really been like I've been am I allowed to swear on this podcast? I almost dropped an F-bomb.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you can.
Okay.
Yes, of course. I cuss all the
But
time.
I'm like, oh fuck, like I messed up this appointment. Like, oh fuck, you had this event. I'm like, oh fuck, you're teaching them. I'm like, and I really had to slow down and I'm like, who are you right now? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I say yesterday was kind of like that moment. I'm like, no, this is it. Like you're going down to Jersey to do this huge event. You're teaching all these Muna Key classes now. So it's
Yeah.
very it's very rewarding and I'm very blessed.
And I have to say, thank you for your vulnerability because I think that, there is a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs that do listen to this podcast. And I think that we're all in this space. Like, I definitely can resonate with what you're saying. I'm very busy too. And it's like, I noticed the last couple weeks, am I really busy or am I just filling up my calendar to avoid different stuff or
Mm,
like feel like, and I had to take myself back to like what does Lauren want? Like where do
mhm.
I want to show up? And I think, I'm a Pisces moon and rising. So like my top three, is that Pisces energy. And I'm an Aquarius sun. So it's like I'm used to this
Oh,
type
such
of
a free
energy.
spirit. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So I'm used to this energy. However, with all of these other planets in Aquarius right now, it's and also, Mercury going into Pisces. Or maybe it's already there. I don't know. I think it's already there. But like you have to really look at, and we're getting ready to go into our Mercury retrograde when we're like, not right now, but like in a couple weeks when we're recording this, that I think that and we're talking about all this, some people are like, what are you even saying? But if you understand the energy, which is the astrology behind it, it's easier to make those decisions. So like, just like you said, Gabby, like staying grounded and humble to be like, what do you want? Because there is going to be tons of noise out there. I mean, there's always going to be noise out there too. Like where do you want to show up? What feeds your soul? Like what? And granted, it's not an ego thing, I think. I think it's more of like, where do I want to show up? Where can I show up? Because it's like the best for
Absolutely.
me. So yeah, I
Absolutely.
thank you for saying that because I think that's a huge reminder for every single person, even if you are not an entrepreneur and you're listening to this and maybe you want to start a business or you're just on your newly awakened and you're on your spiritual journey, like you'll I think every aspect of that, you anybody could resonate with what you just said. So
Thank you.
thank you for
And
that.
it's important too to realize you don't have to say yes to every opportunity. And that's been my big lesson too last few months
Right,
because I don't say yes to every
right.
opportunity there's out there. It has to resonate for you and has to feel in alignment for you. And there's definitely opportunities that people have presented me with that I'm like, thank you, but this doesn't align for me and like what I'm
Right.
trying to do with my work.
Yeah. Now, speaking about that, is there like a way that specifically like if it's for you or like how do you know if it's for you or not for you? Like what do you have like a tool that you can share with people or do you just kind of get like an intuitive nudge or is it just intuition?
It's a few different things. It's how I feel about it in that moment. So if you present me with something, so like the podcast, I already knew that was a hell yes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd love to. Like, I'd love to collaborate with you. Like, that wasn't even a question.
Hmm.
But there have been the ones that I've said no to, I've let it play out to a point, and then spirit's like, all right, now you have to make a decision because free will, right? So
Yeah.
an example would be is I was asked to be on a docu-series for kind of like similar. Have you heard of Gaia?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
they're kind of like similar to Gaia and like they're taking off and they reached out to me to like be on it and they're like we want to interview you blah blah blah. So Spirit was like just go to the interview. You don't even have to say yes when the interview's over. So I was like okay, I'll go to the interview. So I guess the interview and it all sounds like rainbows and butterflies and then at the end is when the shoe dropped and like the money they wanted for me to be on it and I was like thank you but
Ah,
no thank
yeah.
you because even though the price like you're on it for life. I'm like, I feel I don't have to pay, if that makes sense. Like I'm not gonna
Right.
pay to go on someone's show.
Yeah.
And then it happened with I can't remember if it was a radio, I think it was a radio show. It was
Yeah.
like a radio show. I don't know, a radio show in like New York City reached out to me on it and they're like, for $200 a year. And I'm like, and you're gonna get all this, publicity. And some people would be like,
Yeah.
oh, why wouldn't you pay that? Get your name out there. But again, I don't wanna I guess I want to go about it a little bit more organically. Right now where I am, does that mean that can't change in time? You can always change your mind, but for right now where I am, I didn't feel in harmony with that. And other people might. So it was a combination of trusting spirit, seeing it
Hmm.
through, and realizing you can always change your mind. So even if you say yes on something and then you get there the day of, you can say, you know what? No,
Yeah.
no,
And I
this,
have to say, for anybody that I have been doing this podcast for what, 2 years, and it has grown. I personally, regardless of how big this podcast gets, how big that my business gets, I would never charge. I don't see the reason why, and maybe I'm not seeing it because I always think that podcasting should be free. And
Mm.
especially, and I go back to the mission of why I started my podcast to be able, I know that there's some people that charge. I get that. And that's their
Yeah,
whatever.
that's in harmony and
Yeah.
alignment for you. It's
Yeah.
just not for me right
But yeah,
now.
but I definitely, there is a lot of people out there that also don't understand it either. So it's not like, what's going on? Like, I'm like, am I seeing this the wrong way? It's like a strategy for them. And because even if I had millions of subscribers, I would never charge a guest to be on my podcast. Like, it just, that does not feel in alignment because there's a reason why I'm interviewing them. There's a reason why I want them to share their message. And I think no amount of money is going to be able to be placed on that. And I think that goes back to what you said of your moment too, of like money, like that specific moment of, you know, yesterday of like, people look at money as, indirect correlation of maybe their self-worth or how successful they are. And I think that that's a huge topic that I think a lot of people are talking about right now because it has nothing to do with any of that. It's about the frequency that you hold of, you hear all the time, I want abundance, and I want abundance, but it's not about that. It's the frequency of how can you hold the abundance. If you
Right.
want $2 million, if somebody gave you $2 million, would you be able to hold it? Most of the people out here are not going to be able to hold that. Your
No.
nervous system will be completely fried. What are you going to use it for? Like, oh, if somebody gave me $2 million, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to use it for. Like, I know exactly where it's going to go. However, I've also been working on my money story for 5 years. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like, it's much different than somebody just starting. So thank you for saying that too, because I think that people don't, they just look at I need, and it's like, wait a
Right.
second, what about, it's more about like, what are you going to do with the money? Are you going to make the world a better place? Are you going to, all of that? Because we already have enough of the other stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So speaking a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about like mediumship and also the shamanism too. So I think a lot of people hear the word shamanism and they often, I feel like I want to say like picture something extreme or foreign. Can you kind of explain shamanism in more of like a grounded way for like somebody that's brand new or they have this big, desire or they're drawn to like lineage or like deep roots of the shamans?
Yes. So, with shamanism, it's connecting with the medicine or the elements of the earth. So, you work with four directions. So, the south, the west, the north, and the east. And then what we call Pachamama below, Mother Earth, Gaia, whatever resonates for you. And then you have the divine, God, source, again, whatever resonates for you. And you work with those elements to call in a deeper healing for whether it's yourself or your client. And it started, so I study Peruvian shamanism and Toltec Mayan shamanism that comes out of like Mexico. And I, it's funny too, we're having this conversation because I didn't realize having family from Colombia, how much of this has stemmed from my roots. The last few days, actually, one of my clients pointed that out to me and was like, some of the things you're doing, I don't even know if it's shamanism. I think that's more of your roots. So it's nice how it all comes together. But for shamanism, it's we're all born healers, we're all born shamans. It's just what we choose to do with it. And some of us are conditioned to forget, which is why some of us it could be in our soul contract. So for those that don't know what a soul contract is before you came here, before you were born, your soul was in heaven and you made this agreement to all these lessons you're going to learn here and all these things you're going to go through what's called that really toxic relationship that you thought was going to be forever. And I know that's hard for people to swallow, and you can't always come out and say that. But so you have the soul contract of the things you're going to do here when you come down. And some of us in that soul contract is you're going to be conditioned in this lifetime to forget you are part of this big collective. You are a healer, and there is so much more to what is called Earth School. This whole Earth is a school for us to learn. So a shamanism, um, for those that might be interested or want to get started or don't know where to go with it, you always can take what's called the medicine wheel, which incorporates those four directions I mentioned, and it can help you in everyday life of just solving like a any really problem. So an example I like to use that I actually just gave with my students when I was teaching Munaki is that I in my 20s was faced the same lesson in three different men, and I kept going through it. And when I hit that third guy that like, why does this keep showing up in every single relationship I'm in? I had to put it through the medicine wheel and was able to track back the first time someone in my life made me feel this way, and I was now projecting that into other men, other people, because I haven't healed something within myself. But you can use the medicine wheel as a tool for anything, you know. Why am I having financial problems? Why do I keep going through all these friends and they keep doing these same things to me, but it's in different people? So shamanism can be so simple if we allow it. And then there are advanced tools and techniques that we can do to help us grow on this path. So if people want to start, don't let it like I know it's hard, but don't let it intimidate you. There are shamans and practitioners out there that we try to not dumb it down to make anyone feel bad or that they're incompetent. It's just there is a lot to it and a lot to learn. And I remember when I was going through my Munaki, I I wouldn't recommend anyone doing it in the track and the pace that I did because it was a fast track. And I remember like being hungover like in my chair. So knowing what I know now, I break that down into smaller classes so people can understand how to use the medicine of the earth for their own inner healing.
Yeah, and I love that too. I when I went through it, it's been how long has it been? 2 years,
Did
two
we
and
go
a half
through at the
years,
same
3 years?
time?
I think we did. Yeah. Mine was over 13 weeks, and even those 13 weeks were so fucking hard. Like the
Mm.
shit that I had, like I was like, is this just like normal life? And like doing no. It's because I was like, I felt like, and I actually I hear people like, oh, I don't like to be in the underworld. I liked to be there. People always are like, you like to be in the shadows. And it's like, I do, literally still
There's
now.
power within the dark. Light can't
Yeah.
exist without the dark, and the light still shines in the dark.
Yeah, I think
So
it's the way the way that I went through it. It was kind of like there was a lot of deep clearing that, I mean, it could also be my entire, I feel like I have a lot of 12th house placements in my astrology chart too. So it's like every day is kind of like the whole process of like ego death and then this, it's like every
there you go.
day, so it's like that's a normal day for me, so when it's like not happening, I'm like, what's going on? But yeah, but I also learned a lot. I have to say, when going through that process, now looking back 2 years, I guess it's been 2.5 years. I could be lying. It could be 2 years. It could be actually three. I don't even remember. But I learned a lot of even the mentors that I was attracting through that. And even up until the end of last year, that I was like, the clients that I was attracting, same thing with mentors that I was attracting. And I was realizing there's still parts of me that I was avoiding probably, or not, not willing to look at, or maybe just not ready, or maybe like when the place of like acceptance came in. So I think that for me, I always explain just the same way that you explain it. It's like shamanism, or like shaman is like getting to the root of something. So it's kind of like, every system has its own thing, but I've never found a system besides shamanism or shamanic work to get to that root cause or like force you. It literally I think it doesn't, you don't get to choose. I think it forces you to really
Yeah.
look at where is this coming from. So I love
Yeah.
you explained that also with your own lineage and your roots too. And I think that for you specifically, I can see that the way that you teach, practice, and hold space is from that very rooted, grounded place, which I think is amazing for you and, your clients. I think that that's really
Thank you.
powerful. Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, when people start to learn about the medicine wheel, like I've told my students, I'm like, it's a lot like we were talking about facing the shadows. So when you're in the West with the Peruvian medicine wheel, and like there's so many different medicine wheels. So I tell people you can go learn from as many as you can. There's so many um, subtle differences and similarities. But with like facing the shadows in the West, you use the jaguar, which is an archetype, an animal representative for that direction. And I tell people shadow work, as you know, shadow work's ugly. It's messy. It's not, anything, no one wants to do it, but if we don't do it, we can't show up as the best version of ourselves. So I tell people, if you're in the medicine wheel and you get stuck or you feel you're not ready to face the shadow, it's okay. Put it away for another day and come back to it. Or it's the opposite. Maybe you put it through the medicine wheel once and you made it all the way around, but maybe that answer wasn't enough for you. And then you put it through again, and then you see you picked up something you didn't pick up the first time you put it through. You can put it through the medicine wheel as many times as you want, and you can pause and take a break from it as many times as you need to because it's your healing journey. No one else has to face that shadow but you.
Right. And I love the way that you say you can put it through the medicine wheel. And you've said this last week too, when we were talking. So it's like, I never really looked at it like that of like, you can stick one problem, not seven problems that you have, one problem and run it through the medicine wheel versus, I guess the way that what I was taught or shown is kind of like you just kind of go through this throughout the whole year and you just kind of move through north, south, east, west, like, and it really felt like it was rushed for me. I mean, this is going down to human design too, of like, I have an open route. So, like, nothing that it feels rushed or under pressure am I going to do. Like, it's just not. And I think that that goes back to like what you just said about, if it's too much for you that day, then go back to it. It's like you don't have to like force yourself and squeeze yourself through this like hole of, it feeling very uncomfortable. It's going to feel uncomfortable, right? But it's like you don't have to like that reminder of like this is just too much today. Like let's come back to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. So moving like we're gonna like kind of shift gears for like mediumship because I think that this is also a huge topic that I've been hearing a lot of people talk about. Like can you explain to the listeners like what really is mediumship? Like how do you receive messages? I hear a lot of controversy of like, oh, this you're not a medium. This is more of like images, feelings, words, knowing. Like how, in my perspective, it's all of it. It's not, when people put themselves out there to be like, I'm a medium, a psychic medium. It's like we all are, I believe. It's just through I want to hear your perspective on like receiving messages if it's images, feelings, words, knowing, like how do you know what is real versus what is your mind?
Yeah, so when I started with my mediumship, so we have what's the seven clear senses, so psychic abilities that everyone has. And so what predominant, well, I guess I was also like, the child of like, you feel too much or you are too much. So I always had a lot of clairsentient, which is clear feeling. And when I had my interaction with one of my spirit guides in my later life, when I came back from Arizona, it
Hmm.
came through a lot as clairaudience, so clear hearing. And well, so one of the things Spirit had me do is I really, and this doesn't have to be for everybody, you have to find what works for you, but what worked for me is
Right.
I really had to sit there and learn my ego, myself, and my higher self. So with my ego, and I've learned from a couple other mediums, is your ego isn't a bad thing. Your ego is what stops you from petting the bear in the woods. It's what stops you from jumping in front of a car.
Right.
So your ego isn't a bad thing when you learn how to control it. And you don't want
Right.
to ignore it either. Like my ego will come in and be like, "What are you doing talking about this on Lauren's podcast? Like you're not good enough. Like what are you doing?" And so before I'd be like, "Oh my God, you're right, Lauren. Like I gotta cancel. I can't be on this." But today I'd just be like, "Okay, thank you, ego. Not helping, not appropriate. See you later." You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then I had to learn what was myself. And then your higher self, it's always going to come in as love and light and only to help you for the best. It's that when you're about to leave to work and you hear like, you really should be going left to work. Don't take that right. And then sometimes I'm naughty and I don't listen and I went right and now I'm sitting in an hour and a half of traffic and Spirit's like, you should have went left, girl. We tried to tell you. So it can be challenging to learn the ego, the self, and the higher self. So I always recommend to my clients, like you can just write down like what do you like write down what you feel. And if it's a negative thought, is this your thought or is it an ego? Is your ego trying to talk you out of it? Your ego is going to try to talk you out of it. You put it aside, thank you, not helpful. Your higher self, trying to help you out. Okay, this is more of spirit. So for me, when I have clients that come in for a mediumship reading, it switches. I can't explain it. So I always like to emphasize to people when you're practicing your mediumship, try to practice them all and develop them all because spirit really will test you during mediumship reading. So some days it really is all clear audience, and then all of a sudden I'm being flashed all these images and I'm just going off images. Sometimes I'm just going off knowing, and that's tricky too, but also makes a really great medium because at least with clear audience, and so clear hearing and clairvoyance, clear seeing. I can say, they told me, I see it, but with clear knowing, you have no way to back that up. Like, how do you know my aunt died, in a car accident? Oh, I don't know. I just knew. So
Right.
mediumship, I would say, I guess people get into, and so I'm not judging other mediums for this. I guess people get hung up a lot in the label of it. Like, are you a psychic medium? Are you a shamanic medium? Which I guess is where I kind of more fall because with
Mm.
mediumship, you're channeling loved ones in spirit. And then with shamanic mediumship, it kind of takes it a step further. You're channeling power animals, you're channeling your ancestors that are farther back than like, your grandparents. Um, so I think I would say mediumship just kind of looks different to every person, but as long as you're giving messages of love and light that are helping your client and always be truthful with it. I've had clients come in that I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not getting anything from you, like anything, and I'm not gonna make it up to you. I'm not gonna make it up and lie and say I'm getting things
Right.
when I'm not. Or
Yeah.
sometimes spirit comes in, and this is where the shamanic mediumship comes in because this was happening a lot of my sessions where people would come in and it would start as like a 30-minute regular, for lack of a better word, like evidential mediumship reading. And then spirit and their ancestors would come to me and be like, they need to get on the table for a healing. And I'm like, are you going to tell them that? Because they think they're just here for a mediumship reading. And thankfully, like 99% of my clients are very open to it. And then it comes when
Yeah.
they come off the table from a shamanic healing, they're like, okay, I see why I needed that. So with
Yeah.
mediumship, it's really for you to explore with your team and how they work and how you're going to work together.
Yeah. And I love that you explained that too. I used to offer a lot of mediumship readings and realized that I was just getting burnt out from them, mainly because boundaries and all of that stuff that comes along with it. But I actually recently had a lot of random people, because I don't really ever like advertise or promote myself to be a medium, which I am, and I don't even know. I'm listening to you and I'm like, what type am I? I don't even know. Because it's like, I don't even,
That's
it's just, I
I
see.
think the label of it, like even
Yeah,
my
I have no
sister-in-law.
idea. I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, like my sister-in-law was like, so what do like we even tell people? Like what do we like not even in like a judgmental way, but she's like just to be respectful of you of your title. And I'm like, that's the thing. I'm not big on a title. So
Yeah.
they're like medium. I'm like, sure, have at it. But
Yeah.
it goes more with like the shaman. But it's just some days
Yeah.
I'm the one doing it. I'm like the middle person. Some days I don't even know what the fuck happened in the session. Like
Yeah.
me, and my
Yeah.
client, like I come back from sessions and my client's like, so what? I experienced this and I experienced this. Like, what did you get? And I'm like, I think I'm still like out there, still trying to come back to my. I'm like, when I
Yeah.
come back, I'll tell you what I experienced. So
Yeah.
people get too hung up on labels and like what a medium should be and shouldn't be. And again, as long as it's for the highest and best for the client and yourself and it comes from a place of love and compassion, you can be the cat medium for, you know what I mean? You could
Right.
be like everyone
Whatever
is
you want.
you come here with a specialty. Everyone has something they bring different to the table in mediumship.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting that you say that too. Like I always kind of seen like medium as just I'm the person between the not the living and like somebody that you can't physically see anymore. And like I've always get random messages in my dreams, like I'll see a picture, hear a name, and then I'm like, what the hell is that for? And then a couple days later they'll message me and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to go tell them this. And I'll just randomly say like, I know this is weird, but I need to just tell you this answer. Have you been asking this question? And they're like, what the hell? and it's just like I just kind of do that. I could be in the grocery store and it's like go tell that. I'm like, I'm not, no, I'm going to get my groceries. And that was the time that I talked about like earlier about boundaries because I
Mm,
used to just give the messages and like that would drain me because then they would have more, they would have more questions. I never really had like a like a session or like time, like boundaries with myself. So it's like I would just kind of, I still do that. This girl messaged me. I knew she was going to message me. I had a dream about her. Randomly, don't know why I seen this vision in a dream. And then she messaged me and she goes, "Do you offer mediumship readings?" And I was like, duh. Like I knew it was coming, but it's like, I'm curious of like where you found me, how we're friends on Facebook, like how have you been following? I just, because it's like curiosity. It's like I don't even think I've ever talked about being a medium, or even offering
right.
mediumship readings. So it's like it's interesting how that works, and it's kind of like, and I was like, sure, I'll do a session with you, and then it's just like that, and I think that that is like another example of just being open to receiving too of however the money shows up, however any like, your services can be, used by somebody else and like however you can just be in that service, like
Yeah.
service for other people, I think is really powerful. And also just talking about your services so people know how to work with you. I think that that is also a huge message I've been getting lately of like talk about how people can work with you because people are going to buy. They're going to buy, they're going to, they're looking for answers and it's just that right time I think, when
Absolutely.
when it connects. So, yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mediumship, it's definitely they're definitely big on boundaries and they're definitely
Yeah.
they can be pushy. And I tell people
Yeah.
I've learned a lot of things in spirituality, but definitely one of the biggest things that I always go back to is the spirit world taught me more about boundaries than the human world ever could. Like
Yes.
have
Yes.
never had more boundaries since I started working with spirit because I'm like, listen, you want me to be a 24-hour hotline for the dead, then you and I we gotta work something out here because I need sleep. We're in the
24
human
hour.
world. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're 20, that's what we are. We're 24-hour hotlines for the
Yeah.
dead. They'll wake you up
I'm
at
telling
they
you.
don't care. And I'm like, I do. I'm like, I'm going to bed. Night.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's really I'm this what you just said about boundaries and like the spirit world because it is true because here they are not living. I think often I used to say this as a joke, but I'm being serious that I think that spirit forgets or a spirit forgets how it is to be. I mean, maybe they don't to a certain level. I'm just maybe this is just
Some of
my
them have never
assumption.
lived a human life before,
Right. Yeah.
so they
And
don't
even the
get
people
time.
that have, yeah, even the people that have, did you forget how it is to be human? Let me remind you, okay? We sleep, okay? We have to
Hmm.
go to sleep. Yeah. So I feel like that spirituality, like safety and boundaries is huge, especially somebody that is very intuitive or, maybe like opening up to, more deeper healing because you also have to do your own healing, right? And I think that that
Right.
is huge too when it comes to that.
Right. And that's why also when you said it was very draining to you and do it, it's always important to tell people like always protect your energy so you don't leave yourself
Yeah.
open to side, especially Walmart, friends. Walmart, the energy in those Walmarts.
That's anywhere in the world.
I know, but I don't know what it is, but I feel like hopefully there's a couple people that say this, but I've talked about other people. They're like, I'm like, what is it about Walmart that the energy, like, I mean, I always put up protection before I go in, but I'm like, what is it about Walmart that it's so like, I don't know, just the feeling of like in Walmart,
Yeah.
any Walmart, I'm like, why is it Walmart out of all, nothing wrong with Walmart. Walmart, don't come for me, don't sue for me, but like,
Yeah.
I'm like the
No, you're
energy
right.
there. I'm
I didn't
like,
even, now that you say that, and I'm looking, like, I'm remembering, like, when I go back into Walmart. Yeah. It is like, it's not like you got into Target. It's
I don't
not,
know what it is.
yeah.
I mean, I shop at Walmart a lot, so, but
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, yeah, I think, but yeah, there is something about Walmart too. And I think it going, uh, just again, speaking about like maybe there's a whole bunch of different varieties of energy that they aren't, that go somewhere else. Maybe. I don't know. But
right, right.
now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, that is very true. Yeah, you'll have to let us know if you're listening. You're like, me too.
Yeah, I don't know what
Going to
it is. I'm
Walmart.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
ah.
So For the listener, before we wrap up, for the listeners that feel called, and I say that in a very way of like however that resonates with you. If you're listening and you feel like, you're waking up spiritually, maybe you're having signs, maybe you're having vivid dreams, maybe you're just more sensitive or maybe having psychic moments. I'm just putting it all out there because all of that can be true. What is like the first step that you would recommend to stay grounded and supported?
When you're having that first moment of awakening, I would say, because everyone's awakening is so different. Like I've heard people have these like beautiful like awakening experiences, and I love that for them. I don't want to scare people, but I also want to be honest. Like you have that, and then you have the other side of it where you're like questioning if you need psychiatric help. So I always recommend, if you feel you're on that line, always speak with a healthcare provider. I know for me personally, I put myself, and I'm not saying people have to do this, it's just my story and what I felt at the time,
Yeah.
but I put myself through three psych evaluations with three different healthcare providers because it was just a lot going on when you don't know how to control your gifts. So I would say, healthcare provider if you feel you're on the border and like questioning like what's going on. And then, and I'm very grateful for my doctor because my doctor is actually from England and they have Arthur Finley out there, which is like Hogwarts. They have like a whole school out there for like mediumship, spirituality. Like it's so normalized out there. So when I
Yeah.
told him what was going on, he's like, only you silly Americans struggle with this. And I'm like, probably. It's like
Yeah,
anywhere else
very
in the
true.
world, he's like, this is like such a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
So bringing it back. So if you're awakening, if you're questioning, definitely don't be afraid to reach out if like you're questioning that. Having like a safe friend or family that you know is not going to judge you. And then if you can, try and find um a mentor to help work with you and like guide you. And I don't want to say any, but most good mentors are I'm not saying people shouldn't get charged for your services, but I will say there's at least one or two mentors I have that don't like charge me when I have a question or if I need help with something or showing me something. So if you can
Right.
find and I know we had talked about this, there's not a lot of wellness centers and stuff where you are, but if you can't find them in person, maybe try to do some research for the closest one. Maybe see if they can like get you. Spirit's always going to get you where you need to go. So even if you just, Google something and it resonates for you and you're like, okay, I'm going to call this wellness center, that person is going to help. Spirit's going to get you where you need to go. And they'll be like, we can't help you, but you know who you could try them and give them a call. So
Yeah.
don't ever feel like you have to go through it alone. Don't try to go through it alone, even if I have friends and family that don't understand what I do, but they'll hold the space for me of just, even if I just need to sit here and like process what happened.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much, Gabby, for being here. I feel that this conversation was very powerful. And I feel like it's going to open so many doors for people listening. And if you resonate with everything that Gabby said, what I want you to do is I'm going to tell you three different things to do. I want you to take a screenshot if you're watching this or if you are listening and share this to your Instagram stories and tag both of us. I'll make sure when this episode comes out, you'll be able to have Gabby's links as well. Second, what I want you to do is I want you to subscribe to the Enlightened Misfits podcast over on YouTube and or if wherever you're listening to this, if it's Apple, wherever you're listening to this, just so you don't so you never miss an episode because we're going to go deeper and deeper each conversation. And third, if you're craving community, and you want to be surrounded by other spiritual, curious, healing, intuitive women who are doing the same work that you are doing, or maybe just you need support on your journey, I want to personally invite you into the Enlightened Misfits Sisterhood. So, this sisterhood is a private community where we do monthly live calls, healing workshops, and deep conversations around spirituality, human design, astrology, emotional regulation, embodiment, and basically becoming the best version of yourself. So make sure that you click the link below, and it's either on the show notes if you're listening to this, or if you're watching this over on YouTube, you'll see it below. And of course, make sure you go connect with Gabby. Gabby, can you share with us where everybody can find you and what you're currently offering?
Yes. So you can find me on TikTok, Energy Healing with Gabby. I'm on Facebook, also Energy Healing with Gabby. And then um I I am on I believe it's Upscrolled. That's like a different story for a different day on how I landed there. But if people end up migrating towards that app, it's Energy Work with Gabby because I couldn't fit in Energy Healing. They only give you like a maximum of characters you can fit. And my booking site is Reiki with Gabby, a square dot site, and I offer mediumship readings, oracle readings, shamanic healings, Reiki, house parties, group parties, house clearings, business clearings, so many courses, energy healing packages. So you can check all that out on my website, and a lot of those services can be provided online or in person.
I love that. So there's a lot of things that she offers. So go check out all of that for if you resonate with what she was saying, or just go check it out if you're just curious. So thank you for listening and or watching. If you're watching this, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you next week. If today's episode spoke to you and you're ready to rise with support, I'd love to invite you in to the Enlightened Misfits Sisterhood, a sacred community for spiritual entrepreneurs to heal, grow, and lead with purpose. You can join us by using the link below in the show notes or connecting with me over on Facebook or Instagram at The Mermaid Light. If you loved today's episode, subscribe, share, and leave a review. This helps support us reach more women who are ready to rise. Remember, your journey isn't about fitting in. It's about embracing the truth of who you are. Until next time, stay inspired, stay aligned, and keep creating your extraordinary path. This is Lauren, and you've been listening to the Enlightened Misfits podcast.